Let's bring in our next guest, John Rooker from Nuttall and Coleman. John, how's it going, buddy?
Doing good, doing
nice
good.
Nice to see you.
Nice to be back.
It's the holiday season. We thought we'd bring on a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people need them during that
That's
time.
That's what I'm saying. What do you guys do?
We do criminal defense, and actually, in light of Ferguson, let's talk about some lies the government tells us.
Oh, no. Oh,
It can happen.
You're going to go down that road,
I'm going right down that road. We look back. They claim they shot at us first, and we started the Vietnam War. Then, well, maybe they didn't. Then we had Nixon. I am not a crook. Bill Clinton. I did not have sex with that woman.
Ooh.
Turned out to be a little wrong. And the next one, maybe not as well known, but you absorb all your alcohol within 15 minutes to 1 hour.
Who said that?
The government experts get up on the stand and claim that when you take a drink of alcohol, it makes it down the throat, into your stomach, out of your stomach through the caloric valve, and into the small intestine and fully absorbed into your system in 15 minutes to 1 hour.
Is that possible?
It is possible under ideal circumstances, but a lot of things are possible under
ideal circumstances, meaning what? Empty stomach?
Empty stomach, the proper concentration of alcohol, the proper state of hydration, whether or not you've ate, how quick you digest, how quick the motility of your small intestine is.
It's California. How many prescription medicines have you taken?
Exactly.
Right.
Even Tylenol can affect the absorption rate of alcohol. It really matters. When you take a drink of alcohol, it goes down into your stomach. It's hydrophilic. It goes to water. So all the water, any liquid-based substances in your stomach, it spreads out. You may take a shot of 80 proof alcohol, but when it hits that glass of water, you follow it with a chaser, it dilutes it right there in your stomach.
Wait a minute, John. Are you trying to tell people that during the holiday season, if you're drinking, are we getting around to some of this? Maybe they might get pulled over. They might get have an interaction with the police.
I'm sure the police would courteously pull somebody over to check on their well-being. I'm sure that could occur on occasion. I think they call them checkpoints.
Okay. Okay. We're going to bring it up, and you're the lawyer, and you want to talk. Are they legal?
Checkpoints have been deemed legal by the courts at this point in time to check for drunk driving. They believe it's such a pervasive problem. And it's not just to check to see if you're doing it. You're supposed to be set up to bring awareness to the problem of drinking and driving. They're not really just checking to catch drunk drivers. They're trying to publicize that drunk driving is a bad problem.
So I think most people know that that's the wrong thing to do.
Well, if you're drunk, you shouldn't drive. But it's not illegal to have some alcohol in your system while you're driving, as long as you're not impaired or over .08. That's where the problem is.
Now, we didn't talk about this. You're throwing me a curve here, Johnny. You want to tell people a little bit about how they should handle it when they get pulled over?
Well, you got to remember it. The point you're pulled over and the officer says...
Or going through the checkpoint.
Or going through the checkpoint. He says, have you been drinking? That's the first cue that maybe you need to be quiet if you've been drinking. Maybe. Circumstances vary. Sometimes it's better to say nothing. But as soon as you say yes, there's a good chance they're going to ask you to get out of the car and perform some tests. They're not trying to prove you're safe. That's my viewpoint. They're trying to check to see if you might be impaired. And remember, they're writing up their report. They're not filming you all the time. In fact, if the car's right here, they usually bring you outside the view of the camera to do your field sobriety tests for officer safety on the right-hand side.
You're making it sound like the cops are kind of not playing it fair.
Well, people like to get awards, don't they? That's why we give them. Trophies motivate people. And officers get awards from places like Mothers Against Drunk Driving for the most DUI arrests. It looks good. People like to excel at their jobs.
Does it look good?
It looks good to the officer that wears the MAD certificate right there on his uniform and is very proud of it.
Okay. So you're a criminal defense attorney.
Yes.
Holidays are coming, and it's Operation, what do they call it?
Checkpoint.
No, Safe Presence or something
Safe
like
presence.
that, right? They
awareness.
Put that, and there's going to be all kinds of these checkpoints up and everything. I say you got two choices. One, don't drink at all. Two, don't drink and drive at all. So that's your two choices. But you're saying maybe some people might have just a little bit in their system. Maybe it's okay to drive because they're not really impaired. And you want to educate them a little bit on how they should handle it.
Well, there's a lot of things that happen, even with the breath test.
When the cops pulls you over, you don't have to talk to them, or do you?
You have to roll the window down, provide license and insurance.
Okay, so you only have to roll it down this much?
enough to get the license and registration out to them. And your proof
Well,
of
won't that
insurance.
won't that kind of like bring attention to you? Won't that make the cop a little mad?
You could. Is it reasonably suspicious that you're not rolling your window down more to talk to them? Now they have a reasonable suspicion to detain you further.
Can they detain you for not rolling down your window far enough?
Does it cause a reasonable suspicion? That's where the whole argument takes place.
Okay, well, what if you're not impaired and you just roll it down a little bit and
You may well be detained on the reasonable suspicion that you may be trying to cover the smell of alcohol by not rolling your window down enough for it to travel out and reach them.
okay. What's your bottom line, bro? What do
I
you
don't
want to,
give
what do you
them
want to
any-
say?
I
What do you
wouldn't
want to-
give them any
what-
more than you got to.
Because you obviously think that this is a little bit of a scam that the cops got going on.
Well-
I can tell by what you're saying that you think that it's a little bit unfair. It's not to the law.
I think the experts that the government calls in that are trained by the governments in government labs, being trained on what the other government guy is telling them to testify to, and then form their own opinion that is so far off base with science on many occasions that it is a scam. I wouldn't blame the cops as much as I would the experts. Cops generally are doing a pretty good job. It is a tough job. And like anybody else, if you roll your window down a half inch, I'm going to be suspicious that there's a reason why you're only rolling it down a half inch. I can get past that. But when the experts who are supposedly trained in their field come in and tell you that a breathalyzer is 100% accurate during the absorption phase, when science shows that it can be up to 3 times high, numerous peer-reviewed articles showed during the absorption phase that the breathalyzer can read inaccurately high because you're still absorbing alcohol. It's down there, it's hanging out in your stomach, it's going through the small intestine, it's coming around to the liver and right back to the lungs. The concentration here does not match the concentration here during the absorption phase. So the artery coming right up and going in, the veins going right into your lungs, they're picking up a hot shot of alcohol. And it's coming out in your breath. And it's not representative of what's in the whole of your body. Your blood alcohol level and what's in your lungs can be vastly different.
Do you really beat DUIs in court?
They can be beat, and I have beat DUIs in court. It is not a given by any chance, but there are factors that come into place. My last trial, I think, was a .136 breath on one of the PASs, as low as .09 on another PAS, and it was a hung jury, I believe, on that one, which is not bad on that level of alcohol intoxication.
Okay, so you get them off at the court. What happens with the DMV?
That's a whole separate story.
Yeah, because they don't work well together.
They don't work well. It seems like the DMV will err on the side of punishing you. If you beat the DMV and get convicted in court, you're convicted again at the they send notice and you're reconvicted. I did have a .2, I want to say it was a .22 set aside at the DMV recently. I went down, I argued the case for the
A
client.
.22 is a lot. That's almost 3 times the
It might
legal
have been
limit.
higher. It was at least a .22. It was a very high blood alcohol concentration. And the DMV set it aside. Now I'm handling the court portion of the case. And I hope to have similar results.
If someone's arrested or charged, or what is it? They're just charged with it. They're not.
You're not convicted until the court's done.
Okay.
And then you may or may not be convicted in court. But when you get stopped, it's a reasonable suspicion. Then it's probable cause to arrest. And then it's beyond a reasonable doubt. If you're standing up and you say every person arrested on probable cause gets convicted beyond a reasonable doubt, either the cops are failing or our juries are failing. They have to understand that an officer can do everything right and properly arrest a person that they should have arrested for DUI under their burden, under the law, and get to court and find them not guilty under the law. There's necessarily a range in there, and our juries need to be aware that it's not a conviction of the officer if you don't find them guilty. They can do their job right, and you can still acquit somebody. There's too big of a gap.
We got kind of stuck on the DUI thing. That's not all you guys do. You're criminal defense.
Yes, yes.
So, in your initial interaction with the police officer, what's your best bet?
Be quiet.
Be quiet.
Don't talk.
Don't talk. I need to talk to my lawyer before
Yes.
I can answer any of your questions. I need my lawyer present.
More people convict themselves trying to talk their way out of it than ever get convicted on the evidence. I've had clients deny they did anything wrong to me and confess to the police. That's confusing from my viewpoint.
Right.
It's like, you did what?
Makes things a little bit more difficult for you, huh?
It does.
All right, so Jonathan Rooker working at Nuttall and Coleman. Should people just call you and get a hold of you after the fact? Should they come down and get a stack of business cards to hold in their wallet? What should they do?
Well, I would love for them to come down and get a stack of business cards to hold in their wallet. If you feel there's a chance that you're going to be in trouble, maybe there was an argument, the police were called, there was a report but no arrest or citation, and charges may be pending, it's a good idea to come down and talk to us. We can sometimes head a case off before it ever gets filed by the district attorney's office. And that's a service we've provided to many clients, and sometimes very successfully. We've gone down, we've showed evidence, we've gotten statements through our investigator, through witnesses, and provided them to the district attorney's office, and stopped charges from ever being pressed because the witnesses gave truthful, accurate statements that our client was innocent of any crime. And it helps, and it's better to do it at the earliest possible time.
What about people that don't have the big money? Is Nuttall and Coleman just the big money lawyer?
We have some very big cases, and like Roger Nuttall, I mean, he's the premier name in criminal defense for 40 years around the valley. And obviously he's going to command a hefty fee. But we're also affordable. We help people out, and we enjoy it. And the circumstances, I've had circumstances where I've lowered my prices just to help somebody out that I truly believed in. I stepped in on a hearing pro bono in court where somebody wanted to retain me but didn't have the money. When I saw how it was going on a restraining order, I offered to the court in the middle of the hearing to step in pro bono and ended up helping the person not get a restraining order. I'd never met those people before in my life, but when I was watching how the proceeding was going, they needed help. And that's what we do. We help people that need help. Sometimes,
because court's confusing too.
Court can be confusing.
Do they try to confuse people in court too?
Well, that happens. It happens to some degree on all sides. We go in, we question the other people and find out how they got to what they got. What's going on? What did you see, officer? Did you see it at this distance? You saw 4 swerves before you pulled them over? Well, I've got the video here, and I don't see those 4 swerves. Your report says it, but the dash cam doesn't show it. What happened? And there's some confused looks on people's face on occasion. There's also witnesses that come in and claim they saw something in the dead of night, through the fog, with no light, at 2 blocks away, and gave excellent descriptions. Unfortunately, it was impossible that they could have ever saw that.
Jonathan Rooker, Nuttall and Coleman. You know what? I like talking to you. Come back and talk to us again?
Oh, definitely.
All right.
I hope to be back.
Okay, Nuttall and Coleman, Jonathan Rooker. If you need him, give him a call. Tell him you saw him right here on The Buzz. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Stick around.